Hello everyone and welcome to today's Pyxis Incident Management webinar. This webinar will be recorded for future reference purposes. Right now everyone is on mute and we ask that you stay on mute during the duration of the presentation, and we will be unmuting everyone's lines at the end for the Q&A session. The purpose of today's webinar is to introduce Pyxis to those staff members who may be new to DDS and to explain the incident management functionality to all participants, both new and existing staff. For those who already are using the incident management system, this is an important refresher course. Again, at the end of the session, we will answer any questions about the module. Please note that if you have questions during the session, you are able to enter your questions in the WebEx chat function. To do so, first click the chat button at the top of the screen. Then go to the bottom of the screen, click the Send To drop-down, and select All Participants. Right below the drop-down, there is a chat box. Type your question in the chat box and then click Send. We will open up the floor for a Q&A session at the end of the presentation and answer any questions that have been posted there. Please remember to mute your phones during this presentation. Do not put your phone on hold, as this will interrupt the webinar with music. Now, we'll begin. Let's begin with an overview of Pyxis. Pyxis is a web-based information system that utilizes the Commonwealth Virtual Gateway, which is a central portal for accessing programs and services offered by the Executive Office of Health and Human Services. Pyxis stands for Home and Community-Based Services Information System. The goal of Virtual Gateway is to streamline service access and coordinate service delivery. With Pyxis, communication is enabled between service providers and state staff regarding individuals served by DDS. First, it is important to show the basic navigation to Pyxis. On the homepage for the Executive Office of Health and Human Services, select the Virtual Gateway login page link. The system will redirect to the Virtual Gateway. For those of you not familiar with the Virtual Gateway, this is the portal wherein users log into the Pyxis system. On the Virtual Gateway page, enter the username and password that you use to access Pyxis. If you do not yet have a login or you have forgotten your password, please notify your supervisor and contact the DDS Customer Service Desk for assistance. Click Login. There are two hyperlinks on the Virtual Gateway homepage. In order to access Pyxis, click on the hyperlink that reads Developmental Services Quality Management Reporting. This is the homepage for the Pyxis system. There are announcements and updates on this page that are refreshed. From here, you can navigate to any of the Pyxis modules that you see in the tabs on the top left-hand side, depending on which modules you have access to. One of the tabs is the Quality Management tab, which contains the Incident Management module that we will discuss throughout today's training. Other tabs include PAM, ISP, Admin, and Tools. Another important link is the Alerts link, where notifications of submitted incident reports can be found. Now that we know how to access Pyxis, let's discuss how it is used as an incident management system. 10 years ago, DDS decided to build the Pyxis system to document the incident reporting online rather than using a paper process. There are a number of reasons for this. It enables constant, consistent collection of data in key areas. It is an integrated system. It expedites communications. It increases service effectiveness. It automates collection and storage of information. It assists in the identification and remediation of individual events. It allows for analysis of patterns and trends of an individual's behavior. It helps to identify service improvement activities, and it allows for better analysis of information. Together, these benefits enables us to not only report incidents, but perform incident management. That is, it enables us to move beyond just documenting incidents by giving us the ability to use the documented information to drive decisions about how to better deliver services or how to define policy that will ensure the health and safety of individuals. For example, an incident management tool gives us the ability to sort data for planning, filtering by individual, site, agency, or area, region, and state. Or conduct analysis on the data, such as in case of missing persons or unexpected hospital visits. Now that you understand what an incident report and incident management system are, we will call out the roles and responsibilities associated with the incident management module. Providers are responsible for logging incidents. They submit the initial and final incident reports, revise and resubmit the reports if necessary. When there are no providers involved but a HCSIS level incident happens, then the assigned DDS service coordinator must enter it into HCSIS. DDS staff are responsible for the review process. They review the reports, revise the incident category if necessary, and approve the report. Next, we will discuss the incident report submission process. In HCSIS, some of the fields in the incident report will pre-populate for meta text. Individual information, such as date of birth, service coordinator/case manager, guardian information, and services information. Not all details will populate. However, specifically, you need to manually enter the following information: basic information about what happened, details about the injury itself, specific questions about the circumstances of the event, identify whether relevant individuals and/or groups have been notified, and detail the actions taken and identify the parties involved. The final report allows the opportunity to correct or update information from the initial report before submitting the report for review. The following screens are contained in a final report. Each screen will have a list of prompts that capture details of the final report. Hospital visit additional information. Any updated information about the incident description since the submission of the initial report. Action steps. Corrective action steps that has been or will be taken in response to the incident or investigation. Involved parties. Individual as well as other people who may be involved with the incident. Verification of time and categorization. Filing agency, date, and time of the incident, and primary and secondary categories of the incident. Once an incident report has been submitted, the incident report review process is activated. The timeline in which all incident reporting tasks need to be completed is mandated by policy guidelines. This timeline shows how this happens based on whether the incident requires a minor or major level of review. Minor incidents must be reported within 3 days of discovering the incident, while major incidents must be reported within 1 day of discovering the incident. This should not take place of a phone call to the service coordinator or DDS regarding a serious incident. After submitting the initial report, the provider has 7 days to finalize the report. Following submission of the final report, the agency has 7 days to conduct the first level of review. If the incident requires a second level of review, they have another 7 days for that level of review. If an incident is unapproved at either level of review, it is sent back and the provider or first level reviewer has an additional 7 days to make edits and finalize. It is worth calling out a feature of the first level of review. During the first level of review for an incident, DDS staff can either change the incident category selected for that incident or escalate the incident to a major incident. If either change is made, the provider who submitted the incident will receive an alert. Once an incident report has been submitted, the incident report review process is activated. The following terms will be used frequently throughout the training, as within the incident management module. They are related to the status and review of stages of incident reports. In progress, submitted, finalized, approved, and not approved are all of the status types for an incident report. In progress. This term is used when a document has been created but is not submitted or finalized. Submitted. This term is used when the initial report has been completed and sent to DES or MRC. Finalized. This term is used when the final version of a document has been completed and sent to DES or MRC. Approved. This term is used when the report has been closed and approved at all necessary levels of review. Not approved. This term is used when the report is returned for revision and requires additional descriptive information or clarification. First level review / area office review. The first level review is the first level review for all incidents. For incidents that require a minor level of review, this is the only review necessary. Second level review / regional office review. The second level review is a second level of review for incidents that require a major level of review. First level review and second level review are the two review stages and correspond to area office and regional office reviews. There are 20 distinct alerts that correspond to activity across the incident management process. They are all listed here, and depending on the alert, the recipients may be either the service coordinator supervisor, area director, regional risk manager, or provider staff. Alerts notify users of important milestones in the incident submission and review process. Throughout the review process, alerts are generated. DES reviewers will receive the following alerts during the minor incident review process. Major minor incident has been submitted. Incident has been reclassified in the final report. Incident has been reclassified in the final report that resulted in a change of status. Area office has approved a minor incident, and area office has not approved an incident. DES reviewers will receive the following alerts during the major incident review process. Major minor incident has been submitted. State agency first level reviewer has approved a major incident. State agency second level reviewer has not approved an incident report. A major incident has been approved and closed. Let's discuss incident categorization in more detail to understand why we use incident categories and how to determine the appropriate incident category. There are a few things to keep in mind when identifying the incident category. For one, incident categories determine if the incident defaults to be a major or minor incident. Those categories that default to be a minor incident, however, can be escalated by the first level reviewer to be a major incident. Reviewers should always escalate to an incident if it meets one of the following criteria. Suspected mistreatment where there is a life-threatening result. Staff action or failure to action that exposes the individual to serious personal or public safety risks. Has potential for broad negative publicity in the media, or involves law enforcement in any capacity. Some incident types, on the other hand, should always be escalated by an area office director to major level of review. Any incident with police involvement in any capacity, any incident involving ingestion of a non-edible, any incident started by an individual. Moreover, the level of review for an unexpected hospital visit depends on the reason for the hospital visit. All unexpected hospital visits default to the minor level of review, but the reason for the visit will determine whether or not the system automatically escalates an incident to a major level of review. Incidents are divided into two types: individual incidents and site-based incidents. Individual incidents are written for one individual and must be completed for any event that results in an injury to the individual. Site-based incidents are time savers for providers. They are to be used when multiple individuals are involved and the impact of the event and the action steps are the same for all individuals involved. They must not be used, however, when the incident involves injury or illness to individuals involved in the event. There are 6 site-based incident categories: transportation accident, suspected mistreatment, fire, emergency relocation, theft/alleged victim, and other. There are 17 primary incident categories which pertain to individual incidents. In the upcoming slides, we will explain each incident category in detail. Paula Potvin, Director of Risk Management for DDS, will walk us through these categories and provide explanation.
The first category is unexpected and/or suspicious death. This category is used when an individual's death is unanticipated due to his or her current health status. The individual has no identified health needs or may have health needs such as diabetes, but they're managed, so death is not anticipated. This excludes expected death, such as when someone is in hospice care. The secondary categories are accidental, suicide, unusual circumstances, and other unexpected and/or suspicious death. These all default to a major level of review. Suicide attempt is the second category. This category is used when a serious, intentional, and voluntary attempt is made to take one's life. The intention must be to die by the attempt. Jumping out of a moving car to get away from someone would not be in and of itself a suicide attempt, whereas jumping out to kill oneself would. Note that it does not include self-injurious behavior unless the intent was to die by the act. The secondary categories are first-known attempts and repeat attempts. And again, this requires a major level of review. Unexpected hospital visits. This category is used when there's been an unplanned emergency room visit to an acute care hospital that occurs for evaluation and treatment of immediate medical or psychiatric concerns. This does not include planned hospitalization. It does not include urgent care visits. You will need to carefully identify the reason for the hospital visit. All incident categories can be applied, as well as near drowning, illness, injury, other, and unknown. It requires additional information: the length of time in the emergency room, the admission date and name of hospital, what occurred during the visit, and discharge information. These incidents remain open until the individual is discharged. The secondary categories are ER visit, emergency psychiatric, medical hospitalization, psychiatric hospitalization, and psychiatric services evaluation. Unexpected hospital visits are sometimes a major or sometimes minor. It depends on the reason for the visit. Inappropriate sexual behavior. This category is used when there's been an unwanted advance, contact, or activity that occurs, or there's credible threats of rape or violent sexual activity that are made. The secondary categories are aggressive sexual behavior, alleged victim, aggressive sexual behavior, alleged perpetrator. These would default to a major level of review. Sexual misbehavior, alleged victim, and sexual misbehavior, alleged perpetrator. These default to a minor level of review. Victim of physical altercation. You would use this category when an individual is a victim of an attack from another individual receiving services. This event can be minor but very upsetting to the victim. The victim has an additional behavior incident as a result, or the victim displays signs of distress that continue for an extended period of time. For example, they're screaming, refusing to leave the room, and crying. There are no secondary categories, and this defaults to a minor level of review. Significant behavioral incident category is used when there are behavioral episodes that occur that could result in serious harm. It's a behavior that can cause public disturbance or a scene, a behavior that involves the police. This can be a difficult category to determine whether or not the incident should be reported. So review the decision tree for significant behavioral incidents. This will help you. It will help you with questions to help in determination of what category to use, and a chart with guidance for non-reportable events. The secondary categories are not involving a behavioral altercation and involving a physical altercation. So it's not involving a physical altercation or involving a physical altercation. These require a minor level of review. Another category is missing person. This is used when an individual is missing and considered at risk. The secondary categories are when law enforcement are contacted. This would be a major level of review, or when law enforcement is not contacted, this defaults to a minor level of review. Medical or psychiatric intervention not requiring a hospital visit. You would use this category when treatment beyond first aid is required that does not amount to a hospital visit. This would include urgent care visits, ingestion of non-food items, medication refusals without a plan already in place, and suicidal threats or gestures and or attempts. The second categories are psychiatric and medical. These default to a minor level of review. Fire. You would use this category for an event that involves fire. This includes if smoke detectors go off because they're malfunctioning, or if carbon monoxide detectors go off and the fire department comes. If a fire is started by the individual, there always needs to be an individual incident report for that individual. If the incident meets certain criteria related to a secondary incident category, it could be classified as a site-based incident. The secondary categories are fire of a known origin, not started by the individual, or allegedly started by the individual. It could also be a fire with an unknown source. These default to a minor level of review. Suspected mistreatment. This category involves the intentional or negligent action or omission that occurs that causes or exposes an individual to a serious risk of physical or emotional harm. The secondary categories all involve the alleged victim of psychological abuse, victim of verbal abuse, victim of physical abuse, or alleged omission for the failure to provide needed support or services. These default to a minor level of review. Property damage. This category would be used when an individual is either the perpetrator or victim of property damage. Charges are not being filed for the property damage. The value of the damage exceeds $200 or has significant intrinsic value to the owner, such as a family heirloom, or it causes significant distress. The destruction needs to be deliberate. If another individual is the owner of the property that is damaged, there needs to be 2 incident reports, one for the perpetrator and one for the victim. The secondary categories are alleged victim and alleged perpetrator. This defaults to a minor level of review. Theft is another category that is used when an individual is the victim or perpetrator of the unlawful taking of money, other financial assets, or personal property. Incidents need to also be reported to DPPC and or law enforcement. The secondary categories are alleged victim or alleged perpetrator. This could be a minor or major level of review. Other criminal activity. This category is used for any criminal activity that is reported to law enforcement and is not covered under the incident category of theft. The secondary categories are alleged victim or alleged perpetrator. This could be either a minor or major in terms of its level of review. Transportation accident. Traffic accidents involving individuals receiving support when the police are involved would be entered under this category. It does not cover minor fender benders with no police involvement. The incident could be a site-based incident when the incident affects all individuals involved at the same, such as an accident when the police are called and the effects on all involved individuals is the same. The secondary categories are driver, pedestrian, motor vehicle accident, or other. It is a minor level of review. Emergency relocation is used when an individual needs to be relocated on an emergency basis for more than 24 hours. The relocation could be through any emergency, such as fire, weather conditions, or a local disaster. The incident could be a site-based incident when the incident affects all individuals the same, such as an accident when the police are called and the effect on all individuals is the same. There are no secondary categories, and this defaults to a minor level of review. Unplanned transportation restraint category would be used when an individual requires the use of physical holding or a mechanical device to keep him or her safe during transportation that has not been planned in the individual's ISP. A restraint form is not required in these circumstances, but an incident report is required if the intervention is not written into the individual's ISP. Examples include a staff needing to hold down an individual to fasten his or her seatbelt so she or he does not grab the steering wheel. There are no secondary categories, and this defaults to a minor level of review. Other. This category would be used when an event does not fit into an existing category, but it clearly meets the threshold for a reportable event. The event would put the individual at risk. It's when you would use it also if key people need to be notified in a timely manner, and the response would be needed for protection and to minimize risk. This category should be rarely used. There are no secondary categories, and it typically has a minor level of review unless there's law enforcement involved, and then it's typically escalated for a major level review.
Please note that all of the details just mentioned about incident categories are accessible in the categories document. Also, please note the guidelines document, which provides information about the timelines for submission and review, as previously discussed. We will now discuss some clarifications to the incident category guidelines. In particular, there are a few additional details to call out about unwitnessed events and on-call reporting. Events that can compromise the safety and well-being of an individual must be reported, regardless of whether or not they were directly witnessed. The incident report must be filed by whomever learned of the incident. This means that if an individual tells the provider or service coordinator about an incident that occurred while the individual was at home, in the community, or at another provider site, then the incident must still be reported. If the incident occurred while the individual was at another provider site and the provider is unclear if it has been reported, the provider who learned of the incident should check HCSIS or follow up with the provider to identify an incident report has already been created. If a report has not been created, a service coordinator has the ability to enter the incident report in HCSIS. On-call reporting of incidents should comply with DDS expectations. Providers will set their own expectations for internal reporting to on-call staff. DDS policy outlines on-call expectations to DDS. Providers should adhere to DDS policies for immediate notification of incidents to DDS. Providers should develop their own expectations for contacting providers' own on-call person. DDS should be contacted as soon as possible after the discovery of an incident that possesses immediate significant health and safety risks. Communication expectations are outlined in HCSIS guidelines on the Help tab in HCSIS. Now we'll discuss additional notes on incident management categories. DDS consistently reviews incidents that have been submitted for individuals through this process, and a few categories have been identified as being worthy of highlighting. They are unexpected hospital visit, medical or psychiatric intervention not requiring a hospital visit, victim of physical altercation, and other. It's worth noting that DDS may also reach out to service coordinators with additional guidance for reviewing incidents. There are a few things to keep in mind for incidents that can be classified as an unexpected hospital visit. If an incident involves an unexpected hospital or ER visit, and it is not an unexpected death or suicide attempt, it must be classified as an unexpected hospital visit. The final incident report contains an extra section to capture the details of the hospital visit. The final incident report should not be completed until the hospital visit is concluded. For example, the individual is discharged. Therefore, the incident reporting timeline does not apply to this type of incident. Most unexpected hospital visits default to a minor level of review. However, the reason for visit will determine whether or not the system automatically escalates the incident to a major level of review. Visits to urgent care settings should be reported under medical or psychiatric visit not requiring a hospital visit. If the incident occurs in a day program, the day program provider should file the incident report. The residential provider should provide the day program provider as much information as possible. There are two main subsections to this category: medical intervention that does not require a hospital visit, and psychiatric intervention that does not require a hospital visit. Medical intervention not requiring a hospital visit applies when an individual has solely an emergency medical need requiring treatment beyond first aid, but is treated outside of an emergency room. Examples include a medical need such as a wound closure addressed by a medical professional in a non-hospital setting, such as the healthcare practitioner's office or an urgent care setting. Evaluation of possible injury by emergency personnel in response to a 911 call. Ingestion of non-edibles and consultations by medical staff for poison control. Medication refusals that pose a potential health concern and medical personnel are contacted. Psychiatric intervention not requiring a hospital visit applies when an individual has an emergency which may or may not also include a medical need. Examples include crisis team consultation via the phone or in person to determine whether or not further treatment is necessary. Psychiatric services that are provided in a non-hospital setting. The definition for the victim of physical altercation category was previously revised for clarification. This category should be used when an individual who is supported by DDS and is the victim of a physical attack by another individual who is served by DDS. The attack presents a serious risk of physical or emotional harm to the victim. The physical attack is willful, purposeful, and intended to do harm to the victim. This category covers both a successful physical altercation/assault of one individual against another, as well as an attempted physical altercation/assault that is prevented by staff. This category does not include physical altercations perpetrated by a provider, staff member, or a community member. If the altercation is with a staff member, it would be classified as mistreatment. If the altercation is with a community member, it would be classified as other criminal activity. The other category is intended to be used when an incident does not align with any of the other categories. The event, however, must also meet the threshold of being considered a reportable incident. This category should be rarely used, and when it is used, should be used for very complicated incidents that may not have a primary component. We will now walk you through the creation, submission, and review of an incident report in HCSIS. Once logged into HCSIS, you can access alerts from the HCSIS homepage. Click the Alerts button on the HCSIS homepage. The system will redirect to the Alerts switchboard. The switchboard operates as a real-time notification of events that occur for individuals on your caseload. Logging into HCSIS daily and checking alerts is recommended. As mentioned before, there are 20 distinct alerts that correspond to activity across the incident management process. They are all listed here, and depending on the alert, the recipients may be either the service coordinator supervisor, area director, regional risk manager, or provider staff. Now let's look at the Incident Management module itself. First, log on to HCSIS via the virtual gateway, as explained earlier in the training. This screen is the home page. After you've logged into HCSIS, select the Quality Management tab. Incident Management is a part of the Quality Management tab. Select the Incident Management module. Upon selecting the Incident Management tab, the menu options will display. They are as follows: Event Data Entry, Site Level Data Entry, Restricted Access, Report Extension, Provider Filing Process Management, Trends Report, and Help. In the subsequent slides, we will display some of these slides and provide instruction. The Event Data Entry section is where providers and DDS staff can search for an individual by name or SSN and create or view an event for that individual. The Site Level Data Entry section is where providers or DDS staff can create or view an event for a site-based incident, which are required for when multiple individuals are affected by an incident and the impact for those individuals involved is identical. A site-level incident can be entered or existing incidents reviewed by entering a date range in the Search Criteria screen. To create a site-level incident, click on the New Site-Level Incident button. The site-based incident report contains information at the site level only, and no individual information is populated from Meditech. However, if a particular individual is adversely impacted, an additional incident report should be entered. For example, if as a result of the event, a behavioral incident or unexpected hospital visit occurs. Next, we will walk through a scenario for submitting an incident report. DDS staff have the ability to submit an incident report to document an incident. An incident report consists of two components, the initial report and the final report. Service coordinators are only able to submit an initial report, but service coordinator supervisors and area office directors are able to submit both the initial and final report. Please note that provider staff also possess the capacity to submit incident reports and are typically the ones to do so. DDS will only submit an incident report if the guardian or other individual informs the service coordinator about the incident report, but it has not been submitted to the provider. If the service coordinator is notified that an incident happens at the individual's home or other location, the service coordinator should also enter that incident report. The first step in this scenario is to navigate to the Quality Management module. Once you have logged into HCSIS, click the QM tab, which is located on the HCSIS homepage screen. Next, click IM to navigate to the Incident Management functionality. The Incident Management toolbar will display. Click the Event Data Entry third level menu tab. The system will redirect to the individual/event search criteria screen. Use the search criteria to identify the desired individual, either by SSN or last name. In this scenario, we will search for the individual by their last name. After the search results display, click the link in the name column. Please note that additional columns are displayed to assist you in identifying the correct individual, such as date of birth or gender. The system will redirect the individual's event history. All incident reports, both open and closed, are available for review. However, in this scenario, we will create a new incident report. To document a new incident, select the New Individual Incident button, which is located above the search results. The system will redirect to the Individual Information screen. The screen automatically populates with the demographic information and is entered in Meditech. Prior to navigating to the subsequent screen and entering incident details, review the individual's information and validate that all of the personal details are accurate. If the details on the screen are not accurate, it is necessary to delete the incident report and modify the information in meta text before creating the incident report again. This will allow HCSIS to pull the correct information. To navigate to the subsequent screens and to enter incident details, select Continue on the bottom left of the screen. After you selected Continue, the system will redirect to the Filing Agency Information screen. This information will be pre-populated with either the area office if the service coordinator has submitted the report, or the provider agency if the provider has submitted. Please note that you can jump to a specific screen at any point with the Go To drop-down on the upper right side of the incident report screen. The filing agency screen requires the user to identify if the individual entering the incident in the system is the same individual who filled out the paper incident report. After completing the screen, click Save and Continue. The system will redirect to the Incident Classification screen. On the Incident Classification screen, the user is required to enter details about the incident, including date and time of discovery and incident, incident observation, responsible individuals, circumstances around the incident, including use of unauthorized substances and medical noncompliance. Please note that any injury to the individual must be documented, regardless of whether the individual received medical care. One component of the incident classification screen is the primary and secondary category of the incident. In this scenario, the primary incident category is missing person, with the secondary incident category of law enforcement contacted. Once the primary and secondary category of incident is selected, a prompt will appear classifying the incident as requiring a major or minor level of review. This particular category requires a major level of review. If the incident involves an injury to the individual, additional prompts will appear requiring detailed information about the injury type and severity, as well as treatment. When done filling out the screen, click Save and Continue. Alternatively, click Save. If you click Save, you can return to the incident report later to enter information. After you have saved the incident classification details, the primary incident nature category on the blue information bar will populate. The system will redirect to the Incident Description 1 screen. This section of the report contains a text box that allows the user to provide a detailed description of the incident that may not be captured in other sections. This includes date, time, involved individuals, and any activities relevant prior to, during, and following the incident. Mandatory, and it is necessary to provide adequate detail. Click Save and Continue. The system will redirect to the Incident Description 2 screen. This section requires input which includes the most recent status of the individual, as well as further details about the incident location. Next, click Save and Continue. The system will redirect to the Actions Taken to Protect Health, Safety, and Rights screen. This section requires input regarding actions taken and treatment administered as a result of the incident. Then, click Save and Continue. On this screen, you may add all involved parties in the incident. Once an individual is added, they will appear in the search box above the form and are able to be edited or removed if necessary. The Involved Parties screen requires the user to identify all of the parties involved in the incident and to define the nature of their involvement. Once all of the information has been filled in, click Save. This will allow you to enter additional involved parties if needed. If you have completed the entry of all involved parties, click Save and Continue. Alternatively, click Save and repeat this process to add additional parties. The system will redirect to the notification screen. This screen requires information about those individuals and state agencies notified of the incident. Some of the fields are conditionally mandatory. For example, responding yes to "Was the provider on-call person notified?" will make the name of on-call person notified field mandatory. To submit the report, click Submit to Agency. Alternatively, there is a need to collect additional information before submitting. Click Save. You can then return to enter information. The screen for hospital visit is an additional screen that will appear in the final report when unexpected hospital visit is chosen as a primary incident category. This will appear immediately upon submission of an unexpected hospital visit and is included as part of the final report. The reason for hospital visit will determine whether the incident report will be categorized as minor or major level of review. An example would be a physical altercation that caused an injury to the individual. The incident report would be categorized as an unexpected hospital visit, and the physical altercation would be entered as the reason. This would require a minor level of review. The screen for hospital visit has several sections. Additional questions pertain to what happened during the hospital visit and the discharge of the individual. Remaining questions on the hospital visit screen pertain to the individual's current status and include the comments box to enter additional details. Click Save and Continue to go to the next screen in the final report. The system will redirect to the additional information screen, and staff will be able to complete the screens associated with the final incident report. On this screen, additional details relating to the incident should be added. It is not possible to change information submitted in the initial report. Optional fields are not available to GDS staff for completion and only available to provider staff. On this screen, the user can input any additional information that has surfaced since logging the incident and submitting the initial report. Click Save and Continue. The system will redirect to the Action Steps screen. The Action Steps screen requires the user to identify all steps have been or will be taken in response to the incident. Enter each action as a separate action step. Click Save and Continue. The system will redirect to the Involved Parties screen. Enter, edit, or delete additional involved parties as appropriate. Click Save and Continue. The system will redirect to the Verification of Time and Categorization screen. The last screen of the report requires the user to review and verify the time and categorization information that was input during the initial submission of the report. After completing the Verification of Time and Categorization screen, the service coordinator clicks on the Notify Supervisor Ready to Finalize button. The service coordinator supervisor and area director are then notified via an alert of the incident and can finalize the incident report. After reviewing the final report that is compiled by the service coordinator and the Verification of Time and Categorization screen, the service coordinator supervisor or area director can finalize the incident report by clicking the Finalize button. The system will redirect to the incident switchboard, and the status of the incident report will be updated and show that it has been both submitted and finalized. After completing any identified next steps, the service coordinator or area office director is able to document the completed activities in the Action Steps follow-up screen. This includes any corrective action that has been or will be taken in response to the incident. We will now walk through a scenario for creating and finalizing the Area Office Management Review. In this scenario, the incident requires a major level of review, which includes both an area office first-level review and a regional office second-level review. Incidents requiring a minor level of review only undergo the first level of review, which consists of the completion of an area office management review. The incident can be approved or not approved during this review. If the incident is approved after the initial review, the incident is closed because it requires only a minor level of review. The incident is sent back to the provider who will review and resubmit the report if the incident is not approved. The provider will have 7 calendar days to resubmit the report. In this scenario, the incident requires a major level of review, which includes both an area office first-level review and a regional office second-level review. Incidents requiring a minor level of review only undergo the first level of review, which consists of the completion of an area office management review. The incident can be approved or not approved during this review. If the incident is approved after the initial review, the incident is closed because it only requires a minor level of review. The incident is sent back to the provider who will review and resubmit the report if the incident is not approved. The provider will have 7 calendar days to resubmit the report. To start the Area Office Management Review, click on the Alerts link on the HCSIS homepage. The Area Office Director or designee clicks on the alert that a major incident has been finalized, which will navigate the individual switchboard. Please note that Service Coordinator Supervisors cannot finalize the AOMR for major incidents. They can finalize the AOMR for minor incidents only. All incident management documents, including the finalized incident report, will display on the incident switchboard. To review the finalized incident report, click the link in the Provider Incident Report section. After the AOD has completed the review of the incident report, they will return to the incident switchboard and select Create under Area Office Management Review section. The system will redirect to the Area Office Management Review Details screen. Please note that the AOMR form consists of a single screen. The user will need to fill out required fields in addition to indicating the status of review, which may be approved, not approved, or approved with modification to category. If the categories are not correct, you are able to select No and change the categories. As part of the review, VBS staff can either change the incident category selected for that incident or escalate the incident to a major incident. If either change is made, the provider who submitted the incident will receive an alert. Identify if all necessary documents has been received. In this scenario, the Area Office Director selects No. The user will need to fill out required fields in addition to indicating the status of review, which may be approved, not approved, or approved with modification to category. If the incident report is not approved, it is mandatory to select a primary reason for non-approval from a drop-down. In addition, enter information in the comment/recommendation text box to further explain the reason that incident has not been approved. Click Finalize. The system will redirect to the incident switchboard, and the status of the AOMR will update and display as finalized, not approved. The provider will receive an alert that the incident was not approved, and provider staff will re-finalize the incident report. Please note that the original incident report is retained and cannot be changed. Provider staff will be responsible for revising the report to account for feedback. After provider staff resubmit and finalize the incident report, area office directors will receive another alert. The system will redirect to the incident switchboard. The provider incident report section will display that the report has been re-finalized. Click the Create link in the Area Office Management Review section. The system will redirect to the Area Office Management Review Details screen. Respond to all of the prompts. In this scenario, the Area Office Director determines that the incident is approved. Click Finalize. The system will redirect to the incident switchboard, and the Area Office Management Review section will update and display in Finalized Approved status. An alert is generated to the provider that the incident report is approved. Also, if the incident requires a major level of review, the Regional Risk Manager is notified by alert that their review must be completed. Now we will walk through a scenario for creating and finalizing the Regional Management Review. A Regional Office Management Review begins once the first level of review is approved and must be completed within 7 days. The Regional Office Risk Manager will receive an alert that an incident requiring a major level of review has been approved at the area office level and requires their review. The Regional Risk Manager will navigate to the Quality Management module. In this scenario, the Risk Manager will navigate to the incident report by searching for the individual rather than through alerts. The Regional Risk Manager will click IM. The Regional Risk Manager clicks Event Data Entry. They will then search for an individual using any of the available search criteria. The Regional Risk Manager will then select the individual. The system will redirect to the individual's event history. The Regional Risk Manager will view the individual's event history. All events associated with the individual will display on the table. Regional Risk Manager will select the event ID. System will redirect to the incident board. All incident management documents, including the 2 versions of the finalized incident report and Area Office Management Review, will display on the incident switchboard. To review the finalized incident report, click the link in the Provider Incident Report section. To review the Area Office Record submission, click the link in the Area Office Management Review category. After the Regional Risk Manager has reviewed the incident report and Area Office Management Review, they will return to the incident switchboard and select the Create link on the Regional Office Management Review category. The system will redirect to the Regional Office Management Review details screen. Regional Risk Managers will review the category selection and select the review status: approved, not approved, or approved with modification to category. In this scenario, the Regional Risk Manager approves the incident report. The Regional Risk Manager clicks Finalize. The system will redirect to the incident switchboard, and the Regional Office Management Review section will update and display in Finalized Approved status. There are multiple options available for all users to print from the switchboard in different formats. To view or print the incident notification, incident summary, or incident report, select the desired option on the incident switchboard. This concludes the explanation of the submission, finalization, and review of an incident report. It is a common practice that a consumer changes providers or area offices. Now let's examine what happens to an open incident report under the following circumstances. Consumer changes providers. Consumer is deceased or moved to a different state. Consumer changes providers and the consumer's former provider has enhanced security enabled. Consumer changes area offices. Scenario 1. Let us see who gets to update an open incident report when an individual moves to a different provider. John Smith is a consumer who is receiving service enrollment 3153 with provider 1. An incident report with incident ID number 100 is logged for John Smith in November 2014 by provider 1. John Smith transfers to provider 2 in January 2015. John Smith's service enrollment 3153 with provider 1 ends in December 2014, and new service enrollment 3150 begins with provider 2 in January 2015. In this scenario, only provider 1 can continue to update the open incident number 100 and not provider 2. Scenario 2. Let us see what happens to an open incident report when an individual is deceased or moved out of the state of Massachusetts, in other words, discharged from Meditech. Jane Doe is a consumer who is receiving service enrollment 3153 with provider 1. An incident report with incident ID number 200 is logged for Jane Doe in November 2014 by provider 1. Jane Doe is deceased in December 2014. Provider 1 can continue to update the open incident number 200. Scenario 3. Let us see who gets to update an open incident report when an individual moves to a different provider and the individual's former provider has the enhanced security feature enabled. John Smith is a consumer who is receiving service enrollment 3153 with provider 1. Note that provider 1 has enabled the enhanced security feature in the incident management module. An incident report with incident ID number 100 is logged for John Smith in November 2014 by provider 1. John Smith transfers to provider 2 in January 2015. John Smith service enrollment 3153 with provider 1 ends in December 2014, and new service enrollment 3150 begins with provider 2 in January 2015. In this scenario, neither provider 1 nor provider 2 can update the open incident number 100. Note that provider 1 will be able to update the open incident number 100 only when the enhanced security feature is disabled for provider 1. Scenario 4. Let us see who gets to update an open incident report when an individual moves to a different area office. John Smith is a consumer who belongs to Area Office 1. An incident report with incident ID number 100 is logged for John Smith in November 2014 to Area Office 1. John Smith transfers to Area Office 2 in January 2015. In this scenario, only Area Office 2 can update the open incident number 100 and not Area Office 1. It is worth calling out some of the other functionalities in the incident management module. They allow both provider and DDS staff to monitor incidents that require action on their part. First, we will discuss the process management screens. CVS staff and providers both have access to process management tools. These screens are useful workload management tools because they consolidate high-level information for all open events in one area of the module. When using the process management screens to manage caseloads, keep in mind the tools are refreshed overnight and do not contain the data entered throughout the current business day. Once an event has been closed, the system will remove the event from the screen. This screenshot shows the state agency process management screen. First, let's display the provider filing process management screen. This screen allows CVS staff and provider staff to view the latest milestones for each event from the perspective of the provider agency. The screen is sortable by clicking on a column header. CVS staff and provider staff can click on the event ID to view the incident report switchboard. CVS staff do not have access to in-progress incident reports created by provider staff. In this case, the incident report has not yet been submitted to DDS. Providers can click on the document link to view or complete the incident report. Next is the State Agency Review Process Management screen. This screen shows both DDS and provider staff where each event is in regards to the review process conducted by DDS. The screen is sortable by clicking on a column header. There is also a search field right above the event ID where you can enter a name or date to search for a specific incident. Click on the event ID/name link to view the incident report switchboard. DDS staff can then click on the provider incident report link to view a report and submit it or finalize status. In this scenario, the area director/designee will complete the area office management review by clicking on the create link. You can return to the RPMS with the original search results by simply clicking on event data entry. This way, you will not be required to re-enter a date range or other search criteria you previously entered. The Incident Management module includes a number of reports. Reports are an additional way to view and monitor events and trends that are being recorded in HCSIS. There are 19 incident management reports, but the reports the system displays will vary according to users' role in HCSIS. Each report allows you to customize the report so that you can focus on either a particular category, minor or major status, a particular provider or site, to name just a few. Please note that the Reports tab includes a description of all the reports. The IM Trends Report is an in-depth look at a particular individual's event history over a 12-month period. It provides a list of charts depicting trends and incidents logged for an individual over time. To access an individual's report, search by last name or SSN and click View Trend Report. The Trends Report documents, in graphical format, the number of incidents over a selected period of time. It may show clusters of incidents during a particular month or months, which may be valuable in determining root causes. The report also has additional graphs that document the types of incidents. It can be used as a tool to assist users in evaluating progress from interventions established as part of risk plans, behavior plans, or individual support plans. The IM Trends Report can also be used to identify a need for a risk plan or behavior plan in addition to other interventions. Additional references are accessible on the Incident Management Help page. To access the page, click the Help second level menu tab. The IM Help page provides links to documents and forms, reference and instruction material, and quick guides, and additional references relating to IM. Please note that as of September 2016, DDS-eligible adults with autism spectrum disorder, Prader-Willi, and Smith-Magenis will be included in HCSIS. Until that time, the paper process, which is documented on mass.gov, should be used for that population. Again, an audio recording of this webinar will be posted on ddslearning.com. Future reports, training, and webinars are being developed to assist users in understanding how they can be utilized for monitoring trends, outstanding activities, and to encourage best practices. If you have any additional questions, feel free to contact the DDS Help Desk. Providers should also contact the Help Desk as needed. There is a phone number, email, and the hours of operation at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Please note that as of June 1st, 2015, the Help Desk phone number was changed to the number on the above screen. We will now be taking questions that have been asked in the chat function and will then open up the questions by region.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Devesha from the Quality Management team. The first question that we had on chat that we would like to discuss with everyone is, if an individual damages property at a day program as a result of a significant behavioral incident, damage is estimated at $400 in damages to agency property, and no charges, no police involvement. What should the primary category be? In this case, it's going to be property damage, as the individual is either the perpetrator or victim of property damage, and this qualifies for a minor level of review. The second question that we have is, what if an individual goes into the hospital, the agency starts the HCSIS unexpected hospital visit in HCSIS. The person is there for a few days and dies. Should the category be changed to unexpected death? No. In this case, the primary category continues to be whatever it was during the time at which the incident was logged. The third question is, if someone goes from the hospital to a rehab, do we close the HCSIS incident from the date they left the hospital or rehab? It is the date they left the hospital.
Those are some good questions. Does anyone have any other questions?
The presenter has allowed participants to unmute themselves. You can now unmute yourself by pressing *6.
Hi, everybody. We've now unmuted all participant microphones and will now be requesting questions on a per-region basis. So to start with, if people could please ask a question through the phone line, if you are from the Northeast region that hasn't been answered already. Okay, if anybody on the phone has any questions and you are from the Metro region, please ask them now. If anyone on the phone from the Southeast region has any questions, please ask them now.
I have a question. Just on the IM trends plan, on the individual trends, is there a way to determine whether a behavior plan is needed from that data?
Yeah, what you would do is you can run it by year. So you could do a couple years report. You could you could measure restraints and you could measure incidents, and from that you could determine has there been a steady increase, showing that the person is in need of some sort of intervention to try to bring their behavior back to baseline. So that's how you would use it to determine if you need a behavior plan.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Paula, this is Karen from Metro. I'm sorry I couldn't unmute my button fast enough. I was wondering, on slide 28, it talks about all police involvement requiring a major level of review. But then under significant behavioral incidents, it says police involvement, and there's still the tag that it would be a minor level of review. Can you just clarify?
Absolutely. If, a significant behavior incident would just default to a minor level of review. But when it's being reviewed at the area office level, they can say, wait a minute, police had to respond to this, therefore I'm going to escalate this. And that's a case where very often those situations are escalated because the police had to respond because the person was completely out of control and the staff weren't able to kind of, regain the situation. So it would get escalated.
Okay, so wouldn't necessarily
Does that clarify for you?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, folks. And if we have anybody from the Central West region that has any questions on the phone. If there aren't any final questions, we've had one more question come through the question and answer function that we'll now answer.
A question that came in was, does a call to DBPC also need an incident report? If the incident, if the alleged mistreatment occurred by a provider staff against an individual, then you would need an incident report of suspected mistreatment. If it involves a community member or, another peer, unless there was a question of omission, it would not require, you wouldn't necessarily report it into DBPC, you would do an incident report. So I guess the question is yes. If you call the DBPC with suspected mistreatment or admission on the part of staff, it would require a suspected mistreatment incident in HCSIS.